All right, people. Let's do this. Bring it on, says Pataki. Let's have a Friday night party. I've had a wild day today. Here we go. Bring it on, everybody. Happy Friday. Wow. I have had a zany day today, but I'm excited for this one. I got lots of stuff to say tonight. Come on in. Come on in. All right, let's switch over to the vinyl. There we go. All right, who do we have in the house? William, Elizabeth, Voidershark, Amanda, Fran, my mama, Lazarus, Pataki, Sean. Come on in, everybody. I'm a little frazzled. I'm literally like, I'll explain. If you're new to this channel, hit that darn subscribe button, hit the notify button, hit the bell, all that stuff. This is Evening Hour, episode 38. And it's called, hold on. Tonight's called Variety Artists and the Working Class Wizard. Talon, what's up? So I got a crazy one tonight with a lot of stories to tell, a lot of stuff to go through. I got the idea to do this yesterday, and I got a flood of, like, thoughts about it. Yeah. Wait till you hear how much info I'm going to try to jam into this. Before I get there, today I had a very busy day. I was writing content and doing all of that. But I also literally a few minutes ago was live on a Zoom show with a few hundred people watching. It's a DJ company that does like schools and high schools. And it was like a high school event. And so I was literally like doing the show. I actually had different clothes on. And there's playing cards and confetti everywhere. And then when I go to turn on my camera, my Streamlabs wasn't logged into my YouTube. I'm still learning this stuff, but I'm getting better. And so with, 1 minute to go, I had to like take everything down and it was like a crazy little deal. Anyway, that's why I'm a little frazzled, but I'm glad I got a bunch of people in here. Like I said, if you're new, you got to hit that subscribe and notify. I do like getting donations because all this equipment that I'm using basically all came from the donors. And a little shout out to all the donors. Grazie. Grazie. Yeah. It means a lot. But you know what means even more? Subscribing to the channel. Now, I'm going to adjust my camera because I am a nerd. And if it's a little crooked, I go nuts. And it's funny, my last show I just did a few minutes ago, I ended up bumping the camera. And so it was a little crooked. I'm drinking seltzer tonight. I only have soda once in a while at this point, and I do love non-alcoholic beer, but it makes me yawn, and I didn't have any, so I'm on the seltzer. I love seltzer. There's no other news except for this. On Monday, I normally do an evening hour, and I was going to do my evening hour, but it looks like I'm not. But that doesn't mean you can't watch something. Here's what you're going to watch. You are going to watch on YouTube me on another show. It's called the Bindlestiff Family Circus is the channel. I don't have the link here. If somebody here is good, find Bindlestiff Family Circus and plop that in the chat. I have been working with that circus group since 2002. Wow. And I'm going to be talking about that a lot tonight. That's basically what the show's about. So that circus group that I've been working with since 2002, as soon as the nonsense started last spring, they started doing online shows. I was actually on their first one. And I haven't done one since then, have I? Well, anyway, I'm on Monday, and I'm basically doing a segment where I'm going to teach a couple little tricks. And I believe there's people from all over the world in this show. I think there's actually performers from Africa that are actually in the show too. It's circus, it's variety. You never know what you're going to get with the Bindlestiff Family Circus. It's very professionally run, and I'm going to be doing that on Monday. So, on that note, yeah. Who do we got in here? Hey, what's up, everybody? Come on in. I love my crowd. Now, tonight, I am going to be talking about my experience in the variety show business. And if you have questions or comments, yes, please write them in there. Some of you I know, like for instance, Amanda knows a lot about Sideshow. She's associated with Coney Island Sideshow, and I think, Amanda, I first crossed paths with you at Coney Island Sideshow, right? So she knows a lot about Sideshow. Pataki, who's in here, he knows a lot about show business too. So a lot of people in here are showbiz people, or at least know some about it. I'm going to be focusing on variety arts. Variety arts are all the ones that are off to the side that aren't maybe as popular. I'm not going to include music. I'm not going to include acting or plays or film or TV or, it's all going to be either a nightclub act, circus, all that stuff, burlesque, the varieties. Magic counts as a variety art. And I've had a very long career in that scene, and I wanted to go over that tonight in detail, and my experience and my thoughts about it, and my thoughts of where it's going to go, and the future of it in this new, brave new world we're living in, especially with this stuff. Now, if this channel drops out for any reason, give it a minute. I'll probably have to reboot everything. You never know with this internet stuff. If that doesn't work, go to Instagram, Carbone Magic. One word, Carbone Magic. And then I'll jump on live there. I do live stuff there once in a while. And I do supplement this channel with that, my Instagram. So check it out. Yeah, come on in, people. I'm a little frazzled, so if I seem a little, it's because today was one of those days. I didn't drink any coffee in the last 2-3 hours, but I feel like I did. All right. Well, let me just start with my background as a little kid. I mean, I started off with variety arts. I started off with magic. I loved magic. My first performances, though, for the public, besides doing magic in my, pajamas, I did plays. I did a kindergarten play. I did skits and plays. Middle school, I did musicals. And in middle school, I started doing magic. And so I started off with, I guess, traditional theater stuff. And then when I started doing magic, I think my first actual paid gig, and I have a photograph of it somewhere, I was in 9th grade. And I quickly, so here's how it started. I went into a magic shop when I was a kid, and the guy working there said, "Do you want to make money or just have fun?" I think he could see in my eye I might have been the type of guy that would do it for real. I don't know. He didn't know me. His name was Marty, and he was in the Philadelphia Magic Company. That's the first real magic shop I went in. I forget why I was there, too. I was on a trip, and we just kind of walked in and walked out. I think I had $20. So he's like, "Do you want to do this professionally, or do you want to do this for fun?" And I said, I want to get paid. And he was like, "All right, cool. You need to do magic that the audience is going to like. Not the stuff that you're going to necessarily like, but stuff that plays well to a crowd or kids, right?" And I did it. And like that, I started doing shows. I did in Pennsylvania, I was doing arts festivals and birthday parties and backyard events. And no kidding, I actually had an agent in high school booking me for magic shows. And I was getting, hold on, let me see if I actually have one of my contracts. I can't believe I actually saved some of these things, but I really did. No, I wish I thought of this earlier. I would have prepared it, but look, here you go. Here's a picture of me in 9th or 10th grade. I'm going to put the hand cam on. Look at this. This is me in 9th or 10th grade doing the Sidewalk Shuffle. I'm going to be honest, I still do that trick sometimes. I still perform that trick. So, I started pretty early, right? And I realized if I wanted to be legit, it would be better if I studied theater. And I did like theater. I didn't hate it. And so I studied traditional theater at a pretty snobby university, pretty much with no intention to acting in theater or movies or plays. Not that I'm against it, but I'd much rather be doing all the other stuff. And so when I moved to New York City, I came here to act, and I think I don't know if I did an episode where I talked about it. I had an agent and everything. I had 2 agents. I never liked it. I gave it a 2-second try. I was like, oh. And then I quickly started playing in a rock band. And I was doing magic, but I wasn't doing magic full time. And the rock band took off. I mean, pretty much like that. We started touring and we got a record deal, and it was a whole... Did I do a show on that? I think I did. I must have. It's a whole crazy, insane thing that I was a part of and still am. I still do that. But here's what it did. It opened something up. The band I was in was associated with the drag scene. Okay? Don Hill's Squeeze Box. It was an amazing nightclub venue. I'll quickly go over it, but I could do a whole show on just that. It's the birthplace of a lot of things. My band included Hedwig, a new drag scene, and basically, it was a guy named Michael Schmidt, very famous fashion designer, good friend of mine, beautiful human being, visionary. He wanted to do a drag night, but he didn't want the drag queens to lip sync, which I agree. I mean, lip sync, it's fine, it's its own thing. But he was like, nah, I want drag queens that can actually sing, right? And he wanted a rock band. So it was live drag, literally like singing live. And the thing is, the gay scene at the time, the trans community and the drag queen community and all the different, LGBTQ, whatever you want to add letters in there, they all were there. But a lot of straight people showed up. Why? Because it was rock and roll oriented. It was a real rock band. And they had celebrities showing up like Debbie Harry and the Runaways and lots of people, right? And so it turned into something new. It turned into a real freak show of all of the above. People that didn't care about anything except having a good time, and everybody was welcome. Everybody was sort of welcome. If you couldn't handle it, you had to go. And I got to see so many different drag acts and rock bands, you have no idea. I also got to perform in the Wigstocks. Not Woodstock, Wigstock. And in the old days we did it. Thousands of people, drag show, and I'm in a punk rock band. Tearing it up, right? It's crazy. I was in a really interesting scene that I could have never guessed would have been, right? And we recently played this same band, Toilet Boys is the name, if you don't know me. We did Wigstock 2 years ago on the water with the Brooklyn Bridge behind us. Same thing. This time it was, Lady Bunny's in charge of that. Lady Bunny's a good friend and an awesome person. And it was Lady Bunny and Neil Patrick Harris emceed it. So I got this inside scoop of what the drag scene was from literally the inside. And I'm not a drag performer. I'm a bass guy in a punk band, right? Great experience. I'm so glad I got to be a part of that. Very unique. Now, while this is going on and I'm headbanging it and going nuts, it really was a good time, Mantline. Really, it was literally. So I'll give you a little more scoop on it. Squeeze Box, to weed out people that couldn't handle it, they showed on video screens. You ready for this? If there's kids watching, this is harsh. They had on the video screen gay pornography mixed with surgery videos. Not pretty. The surgery, I mean, if you're into gay porn, great. The surgery videos, I don't care who you are, they're hard to watch sometimes, at least for me. They did it to weed people out. I remember people would walk in and be like, "Ugh," and run out the door. It was like, all right, cool. It was kind of a cool little trick. Beautiful scene. made so many good friends. Celebrities would show up, all the really neat celebrities too. I remember meeting so many people there. Really quick story. I remember playing my bass guitar. It might have been, I don't know if it was New Year's. It was a night, sold out, crowded. And I remember Ron, my buddy, Ron Guerra, he came over while I'm playing, was like, "Look in the DJ booth." And I'm like, "What?" I can't hear anything. And I look in the DJ booth, and there's this dude in there. He looks kind of messed up, right? I'm like, "Who's that messed up looking guy?" Oh my, it's Ace Frehley. Ace Frehley came to see my band, and then we got to hang out with him all night. So that's what kind of things that would happen in there. I remember sitting in Don Hill's office with Ace Frehley doing magic tricks for him all night. Yeah, that's just one of 1,000 stories. So that was my first, I would say, variety show in New York, was through that. I was street performing a little bit. I knew that if I could street perform, it would give me chops, but I wanted to make more money. I didn't want to, there was a lot of people already street performing. I didn't mind it. It was a hassle. It was a lot of work for not much money. But I did do it. And after a while, I just realized I wasn't going to get much out of it unless I did it like full time. Like every day, just did it. And I have good friends, like Magic Brian does it professionally. Trying to think of other full-time street. Oh, so my mentor, who I eventually met later on for Magic, Jeff Sheridan, he was a professional street performer in the early 70s with a following. And he told me, he's like, "Look, if you street perform, you got to get up and go to work every day. You know, it's a day job, and you don't have any clients. So when you want to retire, it's a little tricky." So I hearing that changed me. I was like, I need clients. If I'm going to do magic and variety, I need clients. So let's move ahead a bit. So I'm doing this band. I'm on tour. And at some point, I was done with the band mentally. In 2002, in the winter, like after the new year, and so I decided to quit the band. When was your last show in New York? Mantline asks. Last show meaning magic or music? And then I'll answer. I quit the band. I had a little boy named Wolfgang. He was a little baby. And I didn't want to go on tour as much. They wanted to tour. I didn't want to. I didn't really disagree with the band's direction. I wanted to go a little more like underground and heavy, and I think a lot of them wanted to make it a little more mainstream, which is fine. But I left the band. And then about a year later, the band stopped playing, and I wanted to focus on magic. Now, the band actually got back together, and we started playing shows again. And so that still goes on. We're actually going to play, we're scheduled, I see Mantline Music, we're scheduled to play a Toilet Boy show at Webster Hall this spring with the Lunatics, and it was sold out. That was last summer, so they moved it to this summer. It might get moved to the fall, let's hope. My last Toilet Boy my last music gig was with another band called Opulence, and I sing for that band. My last Toilet Boy show, gosh, I think it was at Bowery Electric. We jumped up and did a couple songs. And I don't know what it was for. But yeah, it was a year or so ago. I wanted to do magic full time. And I knew it was possible. Because in high school, I was making money. I was making more money than some of my friends that worked like real jobs. I'd do 1 or 2 shows. I was getting $100 for one show in 1989-90. That's a lot of money back then. That was pretty good. So $100 a show back then for me in high school, sweet. My parents, I think, Fran, you're in here. You saw me do that, and you're like, all right, cool. Go do that. I didn't do well in school. I'm going to be honest. I'm not a book smart kid. And I have a learning disability in math, a pretty bad one. And they knew I was good at this, and so they said, go do it. So I knew magic was possible, but I didn't know any magicians or anything, so I just started I think my first magic gig in New York City was a block party in Brooklyn. And I basically did what I knew. Like the stuff I was doing in high school, nothing fancy, but I knew what I was doing. I knew how to do a show. I could put on a 45-minute to an hour show for the general public. Was it good? In hindsight, no. But in hindsight, I probably pulled it off because I know how to talk in front of a crowd. To me, that's the biggest thing. If you can get up and stand in front of a bunch of strangers and go, yo, what's up, everybody? Let's have a good time, and do it with confidence, you can do a show. So here I am doing a show, playing in a band. I was doing all of this stuff kind of at the same time. When it was time to quit my band, I knew it was time to crank up the heat. So I got a job in a magic shop. I thought, hey, I'll get a job in a magic shop. I'll meet more magicians and my chops will get good. I got a job at the Halloween store, which now closes in March. I also... Oh, look, see? Amanda's talking about it. Yep, Halloween costumes from Halloween Adventure, yeah. So I worked there as a magician. First I did Abracadabra. Then I did Halloween Adventure. And then I worked at Tannen's. And then I quit and I've been doing magic full-time, non-stop since 02, 03. And then I worked in Tannen's until 05 or 06. And that's it. I haven't worked one of those kind of places since then. Yeah, I wanted to be around professional just types, right? Just people that did things. Now, in my New York, I met a guy named Albert Cadabra. And some of you might know him. He's in the Sideshow variety scene. He's a comedian. I think now he does photography. And I met him from hanging out with my friends at the movie theaters. We used to hang out at Film Forum, and he worked there, and we used to all go because we got in free and got free popcorn. Thank you, Kevin and Albert and Sarah and Toshi and I'm forgetting people that worked there. Ever perform magic in Astroland and Coney Island? Mantline asks me. Well, I've never performed at Astroland, but I have performed at Coney Island a lot. On the street in the Strongman festivals and in the Coney Island Sideshow. Well, I've done a lot for Coney Island. I'll tell you in a second. I've even performed my largest magic show ever at that venue, at Coney Island. So I've done so much at Coney Island now. I'm starting to forget a few things. So here it is. I meet Albert. He's doing comedy, and out of nowhere, I'm like, bro, why don't you do magic? There ain't no money in comedy, and there really isn't, even if you're headlining. So he started doing magic. He learned from scratch. And we ended up putting together, I'll show you, a 2-man variety show. And here's our first poster. It was called Magical Madness. And it says Carbone, Cadabra, and Gorlick, because Gorlick was my ventriloquist buddy, my dummy. And it was magic, comedy, voice throwing, torture, cards, power saws. Right? This is our show. The first time we performed this show was at Ianid's in Brooklyn. And I remember we had a big crowd. I think we might have been the first magicians there. Here we are, live at Ianid's. We do the show, and it goes over pretty well. So that was it. I was like, all right, we're going to do a 2-man magic show. Or it's not just magic. It was everything. It was a variety show with 2 people. Actually, I'm sorry. The first time we performed that show was at Collective Unconscious. And it was a very interesting show. Thank you. It was a concept. The concept was a fun, silly magic show that throughout the show, it gets darker and darker and darker until this grand finale at the end where we dupe the entire audience to partaking in some evil ceremony without them even realizing it. That was the real magic trick. Now, when we did it at Ianid's, we didn't do that. We made it pretty much family friendly. It wasn't family friendly, but we took out the dark stuff. And from that moment on, we started doing shows around town. The first person to book me in a real variety venue was Bonnie Dunn at Les Scandelles, which was basically the first neo-burlesque show in Manhattan, I believe. It was... What was the venue? At the time, it was the Cutting Room, and it was called... The show was called... Hold on. It was called Blue Angel Les Scandelles. Originally, it was called the Blue Angel, and then they had to change the name of the show because they had a falling out. Well, Bonnie Dunn passed away a few years ago, and a shout out to Bonnie. She hired a lot of people. So cheers, Bonnie. Thank you. Yeah, she passed away a few years ago. She was not that old. And then we got the job. I was doing a real nightclub, Les Scandelles. It was burlesque and variety. And it was... Some of the burlesque was old school. And when I say burlesque, I don't mean strip club. I mean show. Like, yeah, the girls are taking off their clothes. Occasionally, they get fully naked because it's theater. You're allowed to. In New York, it depends. There's some gray areas. But if it's theater, you can get naked. If it's a bar right beside the stage, you're not supposed to. So you have traditional burlesque. You have some crazy burlesque. But it's not a strip joint, meaning when the performers are done, they're not in the audience trying to hustle money out of the crowd. It doesn't work like that. It's just you do the show and people would tip and that's that. And I am doing magic competing in... Oh, yes, that was before the Indian restaurant. It was not. It was a Moroccan restaurant, Pataki. I'll get to that. Yeah. So here I am in a real nightclub for the first time, and it was the first big one, and it was the real deal, and it was, a professional show, and I'm competing with other professional acts, and I'm doing magic. So I learned how to stick out, it's got to be good. You can't screw around anymore. It's got to be good. It's late at night, and you're competing with naked people. So better be good. And then we got booked at another club called the Va-Va Voom Room, which was downtown. The venue was called... Everything has a venue and a name of the night. The venue was called the Fez, and the night was called Va-Va Voom Room. My mother she's come to see that. It was a beautiful, beautiful club. Live piano. Kate Valentine, I don't know if you're watching, an amazing host and a curator. And to me, that's still the greatest burlesque show of New York City that I've ever been a part of. And it was there, backstage, that I met a lot of people that I ended up working with and still do. That show was professional. The MC, the Kate Valentine, who's the owner of the show, flawless performer, very high-end performer. And the way the audience was, it was like a very elegant nightclub with like tables and cocktail, and I don't know what to say. I'm so honored that I got to perform there. And I met backstage Ekaterina, the Bindlestiff Family Circus, and a bunch of other people. And I remember being in the backstage at like a kitchen area, and there wasn't a lot of room to get ready. And Bindlestiffs then booked me. And so this two-man show, we ended up doing a Moroccan restaurant called Tagines as a weekly. And then we got a really cool weekly. The Bindlestiff Family Circus got a venue in Times Square. It was called the Palace of Variety. And they had a window and a really great venue. And I had a weekly there with Albert, and it was Magical Madness. And by this point, I had already done a lot of shows. I started getting my nightclub chops up, and I kind of knew what worked and what didn't. And in the Palace of Variety, I met another good buddy, the great Throdini, who's now the greatest knife thrower who basically ever lived. He's a very good friend. Shout out to you, Throdini. I saw his first show. It was at the Palace of Variety. It was his first formal performance. It was a full evening show of just knife throwing. Who else did I meet there? I met Angelo Carbone. Angelo Carbone is a very famous magic inventor. He came to my show. I remember he walked up the show and was like, "You guys are great. I have a couple ideas for you." It's like, great. And at the So this is all going on at the same time. There's so many things going on. I'm doing, nightclub shows. The drag shows were booking us. Like, it would be a weird drag show. And then I started getting my own bookings without the two-man thing. And I might be the only magician ever to perform on stage at CBGB's. I also might be the only ventriloquist to ever perform at CBGB's. I perform music there with Toilet Boys and Karen Black. So I got to do everything at CBGB's. Magic, ventriloquism, and music with two different bands. And at CBGB's, I met Johnny Heff. Johnny Heff was a very good friend. He was a guitar tech. He was a rock and roller to the heart. I saw his band, The Bullies, there, and he passed away in 9/11. He died. He was a firefighter. He was in Tower 2, and he went down with it. Johnny, never forgotten. I met him because I emceed a night that his band was playing, and I ended up doing magic there. So imagine all of this is going on. I'm getting booked to do drag nights. I eventually stopped performing with Albert. A lot of little reasons, but basically, I wanted to really focus on this. I wanted to make money. Now, it wasn't just I wanted to make money. I had to make money. I was young, but I had a family. I was married. I had a little boy. I had a car, and I lived in New York City. Good question, Pataki. George, I'll talk about that in a second. So, I wanted to make money. I didn't want to do nightclubs. Now, I don't know if you know this. People have this notion that nightclub performers get paid a lot of money. Now, there are some that do, but basically, they don't get paid that much. Unless you get a weekly gig where they're paying you for the week. And even then, if you break up how much you're getting paid per week, it's not good. And it's okay. And I noticed, and this is what I noticed, in the nightclub scene in New York City, especially the burlesque scene, 80% of the people are hobbyists. They don't do it full time. It's their hobby. They have day jobs, but they do that for fun. And that's fine. But I didn't want that. I wanted to be the real deal. I wanted to do it full time. I wanted to be able to say, hey, I make a living doing this. And I do it my way. So I stopped performing with Albert, and I focused on the private market. And I started working with a company, started booking me called Trio DJs. And guess what? So Trio booked me for years. And then as soon as I started getting a certain rate, I got too expensive and they stopped booking me. Well, COVID happened. And Trio started booking me again for online gigs. So I'm working with Trio again. Comes full circle. There's an old saying, be nice to the people because you're going to meet them again. No matter who you meet in your career, you're going to meet them again. And I am working with Trio DJs again, except now we do online shows. I met George, my ventriloquist dummy, on my work desk because I made him from scratch in 99, 2000. 1999-ish, 2000-ish. Somewhere in there. There's an exact birthday. I have to look it up. Yeah, I started performing with George then. Wow, we did so many shows. I did hundreds of shows back then with Albert and him. I think we did about 200 nightclub gigs. And that is a long time ago. Now, as I'm working for all of these different things, I am literally meeting all of the above. Sideshow and circus and yeah. My audio's cracking. All right. I can fix that right now. Let me know if this is better. Thank you. George is taking a nap. Let me see here. Maybe I'll wake him up. Good. Pataki's, he's getting at me, and it's good. I'm glad. Remind me. George is over here. I just have to move a few things. Why didn't I get George out? I should have done that earlier. I am literally meeting all of these performers. I'm meeting circus acts, sideshow, drag performers, impalement artists, Western artists. I have a list. I made a list. Let's just go over that list. Wow. Oh, yeah. I also met backstage Johnny Fox. I met James Taylor, the great writer of Shocked and Amazed, the book series, the Sideshow historian himself. I met them all because we were getting booked at Sword Swallower Sideshow conventions. In Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, there literally was, and I was there, the first sword swallowing convention ever, and I was booked as an opening act for the great Natasha Varuchka. Natasha Varuchka, if you're watching, cheers. She's probably one of the greatest sword swallowers who ever lived, along with Johnny Fox and Keith Bindlestiff. I know more sword swallowers than you could ever imagine, and Natasha Varuchka really is great live. An amazing show. I'm going to talk about that in a little later. I met Denny Haney, who's also gone now. Johnny Fox, who's also gone. Cheers, Johnny. Let's look at this list. Still cracking? Really? Shouldn't be cracking. Well, let me know if anybody else hears it. I will look into it. Thank you. Now, here's my list of variety arts. And you tell me if I'm missing one. So I got magic. The art of being a magician, right? And in there's a lot of categories like close-up, manipulation, stage, illusion, meaning the big box tricks. I do them all. I realized at an early age, if I was going to make a living, I kind of need to be able to pull it all off. People were calling me going, hey, man, you do magic, right? Yep. I got a basketball halftime show. Can't do it. So I was turning down gigs because I couldn't pull it off. How do you do a basketball halftime show? You got to get out the big guns. You got to learn how to do the girl in the box trick, right? The disappearing lady, or the sawing in half illusion, or an escape, right? So listen, when I was in 2003 or 4, I invested $10,000 into my magic show. Now, if you tell somebody you're going to do a business, you're going to invest a little money into your business, or you're going to borrow money for your small business, they're expecting to hear 50 to 100,000, maybe a lot more than that. I did 10,000. I used more than half of it to pay for a giant thing to be built for me, like a box. And I got new headshots and a website and a bunch of other things. And that little investment of $10,000, pretty quick I paid it back, and it helped me. It definitely helped get it moving so that I can do all of the above. And so magic, mentalism, meaning the mind reading arts, which we'll say mystery arts, mentalism, hypnosis shows, escape artist show. All right. Now, under the Sideshow banner, you've got sword swallowers, fire eaters, contortionists. You've got the natural borns, meaning the actual Sideshow freaks. You have... there's a lot of little sub-acts in there for the Sideshow. And magic fits into the Sideshow. Now we have knife throwing, the impalement arts, shooting, targets, crossbow acts, all of those things, variety. Western artists. I have two really good friends that do that, Cowboy Chris and Angelo. AJ Silver and Cowboy Chris, some of my favorite routines ever, their acts. They do a lasso act, bullwhip. Some of them, they can do the guns. AJ Silver, Angelo, he rides horses. We have, all the circus arts, the aerialists, the jugglers, the clowns. And there's a lot of different types of clowning. We've got balloon artist shows. We've got bubble artists. And now we get into burlesque. Pole dancing now. And of course, drag. Drag is huge right now because of RuPaul. And it's great. It's a real legit thing now. People get it. There's an art to drag. Yes. A very hard to pull off art. It's got to be funny. It's got to be fierce. There's makeup and costuming, and it's the whole thing. Okay? Did I miss any variety arts in there? I know there's a lot of little sub arts. Oh, Well, puppetry I don't put in. Puppetry counts as a fine art now. Everything I just said right now doesn't get fine art status. Yeah, you might be able to get a grant for some of these things, but it does not count as a fine art. You cannot go to Carnegie Mellon and study burlesque or escape artistry or a Western art. You can't do that. Come on, folks, give me some chat. You guys are quiet. Sometimes when you're quiet, I'm like, are they just listening because I'm talking a mile a minute? What other variety arts are there? I mean, there's a lot. So, I start working with the Bindle Stiffs and a bunch of other circus groups. I mean, a lot. Circtacular, Bindle Stiffs, The Muse, House of Yes, all of these. I've done multiple shows, public and private. Now, with Coney Island, here's where it gets interesting. So I started performing there. I don't remember what show I did there first. I'm not sure. But eventually, I met somebody named Adam Realman. And if you're watching Adam, I don't think he's watching. He's one of the best performers I've ever met. No joke. I don't say that lightly. I've seen him handle crowds that are unhandleable. He's one of the best talkers I've ever seen. You give him a mic, he can talk for 4 hours a show, live. For those of you that don't know this, we don't call them carnival barkers or sideshow barkers. They're called talkers. Dogs bark, we talk. You got the outside talker, the inside talker. The barking thing, it just sounds weird and it's never been used, and it's a good way to tell if somebody's actually in the sideshow or not. A little inside wink. So Adam Realman is one of the best talkers I've ever met, and we started doing shows together and working together, and we got an idea to do a show called New York Variety All-Stars. And our goal was to create a variety show with 3 people that was really good and could play to a really big theater. So it would need to have some large-scale things in the show. We wanted it to have blockhead and sword swallowing and all of that, but we wanted it to play big. So it was me, Adam Realman, and Chrissy Cocktail, and we put together a show, and pretty quick, it started to work. Our first gig, I believe, was at the New York City Aquarium. They booked us, and we did a show there. Very successful. I'll get to the milk can. I'll talk about that in a second. So here I am. I'm working, again, a professional variety show with Adam Realman. We do that. Then we were asked, are you ready for this? We got booked to be the opening act for the hot dog eating contest at Coney Island. And that's about 14,000 people, maybe more. I don't know. Somebody told me 17,000. Somebody else told me 14. Massive crowd. How do you perform for that big of a crowd? Well, we figured it out. We got it. Now, so we did that, and that's probably the biggest magic show I've ever done, and it was very successful. I breathe fire too. I don't eat fire. I do the breathing. So we did a magic illusion that involved dynamite and fire breathing, and we were the opening act for a really large, show. And then we got asked, then we got booked at the Sideshow convention. And this is the first time a bunch of other sideshow groups and circus groups were going to see us. And so we did our show. It went very well. And that was on a Friday night? That was a Friday night. Saturday, we hung out. And then Sunday morning, there's a brunch for all the performers. And they give out awards and all this stuff. And I remember at night, a couple people like, "Are you going to go to that brunch in the morning?" And I was like, maybe not. We're going to stay up late and kind of have fun. And they're like, no, you should go. And I was like, we'll see. And then somebody came up to me and was like, "Dude, you got to go to the brunch in the morning." And it was the way they said it. I was like, I think we want a prize. I think they want us to go because they're going to give us a prize or something. And I told my show partner, Adam, I'm like, hey, I think we won something. And he's like, yeah, I think we did too. So we get to the brunch, and we won show of the year. I didn't expect it. We weren't intending on, I didn't even know they gave that prize out. It was just, there it was. They gave us a trophy and the whole 9 yards, and I was honored and tickled, and that was that. I mean, we ended up doing a lot of shows. We ended up doing some really large theater event. Hold on. Now I'm remembering. I have, here. I'll show you. I will show you. I can't believe I had this behind me. A lot of this stuff I didn't realize I had. Here is one of the theaters we did. Someone took photos and made us an album. That's the box seats. Hold on, let me see here. Oh yeah, here we are. This is a very large variety group. We even hired live musicians for this. Let me see if I can get a good picture of all of us. We literally hired, for certain gigs, a whole band to be on stage with us. Let's see if there's a good picture of all of us together. My God, I didn't prepare this because I forgot I had all this stuff here. Over the time, we ended up, Chrissy left. She retired from showbiz. We ended up using Ekaterina. I think Waymest did it once. And we also ended up using Pinky Special. She was an all-star. Damn it. We had cigarette stuff. I mean, Adam does a cigarette eating act. There's sword swallowing. I mean, folks, let me just we were doing really large venues. Let me see. I don't know if you can see this. These theaters were huge old theaters. Oh, Veronin. Yes, Fallon. Hi, Fallon. Welcome. Yes, of course I've seen Veronin. He's the king of the smug variety artists. I love him. So, we're doing this show, right? The New York Variety All-Stars. We were getting a lot of attention, but I'm going to be honest. The amount of work that goes into booking a theater show, I don't think people realize how many contracts. Oh, here's a good picture. I mean, it's just like dealing with contracts and everything. We were booking our own. Well, hold on. There we go. That's a great picture. So in this act, yeah, we did a bed of nails act where we're all standing on people. We wanted the show to be musical, filled with pantomime numbers, comedy, and nonstop audience participation, which is why I think we did well. I think one of the first things we do is like, we go, hey, we use people in the audience, and we run out and grab people. We would make a lot of money in intermission with a raffle. We figured out how to do a raffle and make it really fly. We're all carnies. Really. I mean, it comes down to that at the end of the day. I wanted to do this for a living. I wasn't doing it for my ego or as a hobby or just to be in the scene so I had drinking buddies. I wanted to make a living, and that was it. And we did. And then I started getting involved in the strongman scene. Now, I do lift my weights and do my push-ups. I don't really lift weights. I do push-ups. And Adam Reelman was involved in the strongman scene because he himself does strongman. They bend bars, they tear phone books, right? The whole thing. So he calls me up, and he knew I was starting to mess around with thinking about doing an escape, like a good one. An underwater escape of sorts. And I got booked to do one of the strongman shows. If you look this up, if you look up Cardone Milk Can, you will see some videos of me. One of them is my first time at Coney Island at one of the strongman events. And I'm going to be honest, I was very nervous. And if you read the comments, it says that I have room to breathe at the top of the can and all this stuff. And I'm looking you right in the camera right now. I actually do hold my breath, and it's really not fun to do. Okay. Believe me, if I could push out enough water to breathe, it would be easy and great. And trust me, I tried doing it, but you can't do it. It doesn't work that way. And not only that, it's not consistent, even if you could, and you will die. The padlocks aren't mine. Somebody else brings them. So they're not trick locks. The can's examined. And yes, I expose Houdini's method at the beginning. I just tell people because they're going to Google it. So I tell them. Mine, you can look at the can all day. You can literally, with them, I show them how the other cans work. That was my first time. It was not easy. It took a year to have the can made. It took me a year to get good at holding my breath for 2 minutes. 2 minutes is hard for me. I got up to 2.5. If I had to do it right now, it would take me 2 weeks. Yeah, Talon, if you've seen it, you know. The first one okay. I've done it now 5 times. Every time I get nervous, but not as bad as the first one. And the reason why I was really nervous for that first time, and my assistant, battle buddy, a.k.a. Ryan Crash, I don't know if you're watching, Ryan. Love you, buddy. We rehearsed the heck out of it. And I did it with cold water. I did it with hot water or warm water. I did it with a full belly. I did it with an empty belly. I wanted to know what would affect my breathing. The only thing I couldn't rehearse were stage nerves. Now, if you know me, you know this. I don't really get nervous before shows. I get nervous if I got to sell tickets, or I get nervous that there ain't going to be anybody there. But I'm never nervous to walk out and just do my thing. I practice. I make sure I'm confident. The milk can, I couldn't practice that. I couldn't practice stage nerves and hold my breath in front of a live crowd. So if you watch it, you don't see the whole beginning of the trick. The whole beginning is me talking and stuff, and it got cut out of the video. But the first thing I said, I remember, I walked out when it was like, there was a wall of people, all with cameras. At one point, I said, folks, if you came here to see me die today, it ain't going to happen. Here we go. And I just accepted that, whatever. I was nervous. And you can see it in the video. And you can see when I get out of the can, I'm a little choked up. I'm actually a little like, why? It was a lot of work. The last time I performed it was on the boardwalk at Rockaway Beach. I've done it indoors. I actually one time got in, and as soon as I got in, I got a Charlie horse in my foot. Lack of potassium. So I could do a whole show on learning how to do that. It's very stressful, but I did get my hand in the strongman scene, and I met all these amazing strongmen. I met the great Adam's son and historic strongmen. I was talking to some of these guys, and they were in the show with me. I got to be in the cast, and I'm not a strongman. I got in because of the milk can, you know? And I ended up doing a bunch of these shows with these guys, and I can't trade these experiences for anything. Wow, I've been chatting for an hour already. I love this. So I'm trying to think if I've missed anybody or anything before I go into my thoughts about this all, because I do have some things to say. Have I missed any other ventures? I mean, so modern. So let's fast forward to like the last 5 years. After I got my foot in the door for the private market, so I stopped doing a lot of the burlesque shows. I said, no more nightclubs. I don't need to do them. I've done them. I've done all of them at the time. I'd done a bunch of them. And I wanted to focus on private market because I wanted to make money. I wanted to be able to go like, hey, my job is I get to have fun doing magic forever. I get paid to make people have fun. I didn't want to have a job and then for fun, go make people have fun. That didn't work in my head. So I got my foot in the door and I started getting jobs through agencies. And at one point, I was freelancing through at least 7 different people. Now, I don't know, I freelanced through about 4 or 5 different people. But at the time, I really I was freelancing through a whole bunch of agents. Some of them got me bar mitzvahs. Some of them got me circus jobs. Some of them got me corporate parties. Some got me school shows. They were all different. And I do believe because of the variety, it made my chops go up, 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 up. I've worked in one weekend, I will have literally done a show for an elementary school on Friday, a very famous illegal biker organization, and then I'll go do a hospital gig, a corporate show, and then Men of Respect from Italy. That the wise guys. I'll do a show for them. I'll do all of them, and I love them all. I don't care. The rich family and the Upper East Side to the inner city kid at school. To how about this one? And I've done a few of these. A Down syndrome camp for adults. Beautiful shows. Some of the coolest things I've ever. That was one of the best experiences of my life, and I got to do that one twice. Yeah, I mean that's why I'm doing this, Amanda. I'm opening myself up here. Of like, I've literally done all of these different shows, and so here's what I wanted to say. I was told at an early age there are so many guys that make a lot more money than me doing magic. A lot. I know them. They get paid a lot. Are they better than me? Nah. But they're good at business, and they got a certain demographic of a market or a specific kind of show. Like they just do bar mitzvahs, or they just do corporate shows, or they just do one thing or the other. And I was told, hey, if you're going to make a living doing magic, you should pick one market and just slam it hard. Like, do like, good question, Mantline. Most of them I don't like. Some of them I do. Just like all things. They said, a lot of these guys would say, you got to focus. You need to pick one thing. Just do bar mitzvahs. That's it. And be the best at that. I don't want to do that. There's an old saying, a craftsman makes what he can sell. An artist sells what he makes. I did do a show for Hugh Jackman. I did. I've done a lot of celebrity shows, and a lot of them I didn't know that it was for them until I got to the gig. A talker act? Name an act. Oh my God, I'm getting really good questions now. Show I haven't done that I want to do? I mean, I don't. There's a lot. I don't know. Famous David Copperfield's a very good live performer. As for the Blaines and the other guy, not my style. Darren Brown, very good. I'm a talking act, but I also have a silent act. I do the card manipulation. I have a bunch of silent acts. I did not want to do that. I wanted to be able to do all of the different kinds of shows. I wanted to do everything. I wanted to do corporate. I wanted to do the biker guys and the tattoo convention and the elementary school kids. And I do that. I do them all. And because of that, I really do think that it gave me an edge to understanding not just the art form of magic, but life. And not just life, real magic. I know how to look at anybody. I mean, I don't care. If you're just a nightclub performer, you get very used to a certain group of people. If you're a kids show performer, I do them all. And I still do them all. And I like it. And I'm glad I went that route. It might not have been business-wise the best route, but I will say, out of everybody I know, even some of these famous guys, I do. Oh, yes! Dime Museum is an art form. That's another type of performing, where you present like a collection. A favorite show I've done, magic show? I mean, music, yes. My favorite music show I ever did was I played bass at Joey Ramone's birthday party with my band, and then Joey did an entire Ramones show with my band as the backing band. That's my favorite show. I get goosebumps thinking about it. I also liked playing with Blondie at the Garden. But magic, if I have to pick like 5 of my favorite magic gigs, I don't know. I have so many. All right, so here's a couple stories. I'm going to tell a couple horrific nightclub stories to end this off. So if you're in here and you want to hear a nutso story, range. I was told early on, you can't get... A master magician is a magician that can entertain anybody and any size of audience. And I can't say that's true for almost every single magician I know. And I ain't saying I'm a master. I never will call myself that. But I'm just saying they can't perform for any audience. You can't take some of these guys and throw them into a room with a bunch of gangsters and expect them to pull it off. It ain't happening. Of course, Lucky 13, I've performed there. I've performed music in every single nightclub in New York City, basically, and Magic too. Every single one. All of them. Of course, I've been to all of those places. I've performed at them all. I've never performed at Barclays. Anything, but I've been there. One of my favorite shows I did was the Down Syndrome Camp for Adults. When I walked in the first time, because I did it twice, the guy was like, okay, they're Down syndrome adults. They have, some of them are married, some of them aren't. Some of them are severe. They're like, the case is a little more severe, and some of them it's very mild. He said he's like, Down syndrome people like three things. They like the movie Grease. They like pro wrestling, and they like Elvis. And as he's telling me this, we go into this room and they're watching pro wrestling. And I'm like, oh. And I'm like, I have an Elvis act in my show. And he's like, oh, they're going to freak out. So I do my show. Again, one of the coolest shows ever. And at the end, they gave me a standing ovation and they did the soccer chant. Oh. I got goosebumps. I got a beautiful group. They all took pictures with me. Aretha Franklin's birthday party. I can close my eyes and see it like yesterday. I also did her after party at another date. Louis C.K.'s apartment. I did one there. I could go endless. I don't like to name drop, but I'm just I like, they were fun. You know, when you show up to a gig and you don't even know what you're doing and who it is, and you open the door and it's somebody you've seen in a movie, it's fun. I did tell the story about my Harry Potter party, which is another one of my favorite stories to tell, on another episode. I did magic at a swingers club in Baltimore with Keith Bindlestiff. It was their annual event. There were hundreds of people there at a swinger club in Baltimore. I could do a whole show on just that. And I have yeah, so here's the story I wanted to tell. People like, what's it like being in a nightclub show? So the Slipper Room is one of my favorite nightclubs in New York City. I've worked there. I've worked in, what's the other one? I've never worked the Box. All the Russian nightclubs. Romanov, Zavo now. I'm trying to think. Romanov used to be called Rasputin. The Fez, Cutting Room, all of those venues. I've done all of these nightclubs, burlesque shows, and variety shows. And there's one night at one of these clubs, I'm not going to say which club, I'm not going to say which performers are involved. This is shocking. And I'm going to say this because it has to do with some of my gripes about the variety scene. One of the gripes is it's oversaturated. It got oversaturated. Now, there's a sideshow school, there's a burlesque school, and, you know, I have some thoughts about these things. There's magic schools now. When I was a kid, there were none of these things. I don't mind that there isn't one of those schools. I taught myself. I don't think there needs to be schools for these things. I think the people that are self-taught and learned from hanging out in carnivals and stuff, they have a different energy. It's a different thing. It's a different... They had to like dig a little harder to get the info. Therefore, their approach is different. And so there's a lot of performers that, to me, maybe shouldn't be performing involved now. And they're more like a hobbyist in a professional scenario. And I don't like that. I don't mind hobbyists, of course. But don't be in the professional's way. And don't be undercharging or working for free. So here I am. I'm working one of my nightclubs. This is only a few years ago. If you're a performer in New York City, you've probably heard this story. So I'm getting ready to go on stage, and I'm going to have to leave out a lot of details because you'll know where I'm talking about. So I'm going to cut out some bits, but I'm just going to do my nightclub act. They're 7 minutes long. 2 like 7-minute acts. And I'm getting ready, and one of the performers does their act. And I saw it, and I thought it was really bad. It was very amateurish. It looked very much like a college performance art piece. And to me, it was, if I invited somebody, like a client, to go to this nightclub to see this act, and they saw the act, they wouldn't like it. It was very amateurish, very like shock value for shock value's sake, with some sort of politically inclined commentary mixed in, maybe. There was some hair cutting and some bottles dumped on them and some weird stuff that made no sense, but it was a pretty lame act, I thought. But whatever. It went on, and it was over, and I was 2 more acts away from my first bit. And I went out in the audience for a second, because you can do that in some of these. You can kind of go back and forth. And my girlfriend at the time was like, dude, I think somebody in the front row crapped their pants. The whole theater reeked like rotten diarrhea. Okay? I have a weak stomach for that. So I'm like, and I go backstage, and I'm like, now I'm backstage. People are walking around going, oh my God, freaking out. Somebody's walking around spraying perfume. And I'm like, what's going on? It smells like someone died and crapped. This is horrible. And then I see the performer that was on a few acts ago crying. And they were like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm like, you're sorry? What happened? Oh, I didn't mean it. It was old blood. What? It was old. I didn't mean it to be old. What? It turns out that person had dumped old blood that comes from the private regions that they had been saving for their performance art piece. Not only was it old, it was rotten, and they had dumped a vial of it on their face. I'm not kidding, folks. It smelled like death incarnate. So I was like literally like heaving, and I was like, get out, leave. I yelled at this person. I was like, get out of my face. You're disgusting and lame, and your acts suck. Go. And they went out, and I heard they were crying on the corner, which is great. Go away. Please never perform again. I hear they're still performing. I kid you not. I'll never forget that. I can't believe someone would do that. From prestidigitator to regurgitator, and I literally was like, I almost didn't do my act. I almost left. But I'm a professional. If I couldn't do it, I wouldn't have done it. They cleaned it up, aired it out, whatever. I did the act. I was going to make a comment, I think, on stage about the performer. I didn't, because I'm a professional. Yes, Elizabeth. Horror story. That might be one of the worst things I've ever experienced as like a stage thing. Yeah, well, okay, when you go see Watain, Peter, okay, now, I think I can appreciate what they're doing. It's very G.G. Allen in some ways, but you kind of know what you're getting into. When you go to a fancy nightclub, I don't think you're expecting that. And like I said, if I was bringing a client, I would not have been so happy. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the benefit of doing a nightclub. Now, people go, why do you do the nightclubs? They don't pay as well. Well, I'll tell you why. It keeps my chops up, man. If you're not good, you're going to get eaten alive. A midnight crowd at a real nightclub, and there's like half-naked people in the show and professional entertainers. And I'm the old guy in the show at this point. I do it because it keeps my chops up. And you got to stay in the public eye. You do. You have to be keeping busy on that stuff. So if you're a performer, you got to do it. I also do new variety venues in new areas to just kind of do it at the new venue. I'll get new people that follow my stuff, right? My view on the variety scene is it ain't going anywhere. We don't need funding. I'm not into the government funding for variety arts. I know I have some friends that are very much, they think that it should be like that. Artists shouldn't have to worry about making money. They should just sit back and let the government take care of it. I don't want that. I never want the government paying for what I do art-wise. Ever, never, never. I don't mind someone like a patron doing it or an audience, I don't mind that, but I don't want a government agency in charge of what I do because I've seen where the government says, we don't like that. Look up Ron Athey, the very famous performance artist. They didn't like him very much. I don't want to deal with it. I think the variety arts can survive on their own if the people involved are professional. And I do think there's a lot of people involved in the variety arts that are not professional. They are amateurish and they don't work on their acts. I will say the problem is the simple act is the hard one to make an act out of. For instance, sword swallowing. It's up and down and out, and that's the act. I mean, that's the stunt. It takes 2 seconds. 1, 2, 3. All right, 3 seconds. Okay? How many bad sideshow performers are there? A lot. Why? Because they think that the act of it being so shocking and hard to do is almost enough to carry it on. And that's not true. You could be a sucky sword swallower and have a better act than the guy who can do it for real. And that's a fact. You need to have a real show. And some of these people don't have a show. They have one stunt they can do, but there's no solid 5-minute act that's either funny, exciting, or not. The sword swallower, Natasha Varuchka, Adam Reelman, those guys have a sword act where they've nuanced every beat, every moment. They know how the audience is going to react, and they know how to shape it to get the maximum impact of applause. If you watch Natasha Varuchka, she has so many moments built in where she'll pause, she'll wink at the crowd. She just knows, but it's not, she doesn't make it up every time she does it. It looks like she's making it up, but she's done it 1,000 times. This is how you get good. So the simple acts are the hardest. What's the other ones like? Burlesque, for instance. Yeah, you take your clothes off, big deal. But to make it good and exciting, not easy. I also don't like politics in nightclub acts. Not into it. During the election last year and the year before, okay, so a lot of the nightclubs, 99% of the performers vote Democratic. I know a couple Republicans. I don't vote for either party anymore and haven't for a very long time, and I don't talk about politics much, but I think it's, you alienate. And when I see nightclub performers being smug about their politics and how stupid the other people are, even though I might even agree with their politics in that moment, I don't agree with that because in any nightclub, you are definitely going to have a mixed crowd. Why would you alienate? Why would you do that? Just for your own ego blast for that moment? It has to be. Why would you do that? If you have a burning desire to say your message, why don't you work it into a manner of your act that's hidden so that the energy of the point that you're trying to make is there? You know, like someone asked me once, I'm looking at the comments. Yeah, so okay, so politics in a show, right? Imagine like you're sitting there and like every other joke is like a Trump joke. Great, maybe one, not the whole night. And every performer, it's like, guys, I get it, he sucks. Everybody knows that. Why do you have to keep doing it? Why? Because it's easy. It's an easy way to get a reaction. It's a cheap, easy way. Just like a comedian that doesn't use swear words. It's harder. It's a lot harder. Just like a pantomime has more dialogue than an act that has lots of dialogue. Think about that for a second. Pantomime has more dialogue. Way more. So I never liked politics. I don't like... I just always thought it looks like an ego boost from the performer's end. Like, because they know better. And I never liked it. Yeah, just a pet peeve of mine, and I see a lot of it now, especially in that New York variety scene. And look, I have a lot of friends, they're watching now, and they might even do that kind of stuff, but I just, I always thought, like, I saw a lot of people going, if so and so hired you for an event, would you do it? No, I would never do it, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, none of them work professionally. I'm listening to these people yell and scream about, what if you get booked for a Trump event? Would you do it? And I'm looking and I'm like, well, none of these people work full time that are talking here, most of them. So why are they even discussing this? They're pretending like they're full time performers. They're not. Second, how many of them have performed for people that they actually do despise? How many burlesque performers or stripper types have done performing for the biker crowd? The outlaw biker crowd. Lots of them, and they probably like them. Do they know how they are in real life? I'm curious. So it's very funny how people pick and choose. My way of doing, like, I work for Orthodox Jewish guys a lot. Super religious Orthodox Jewish guys. I completely disagree with 90% of what they have to say philosophy-wise. But I do a show. I make them have fun. And maybe them watching me, they'll get some insight on how to view different types of people differently. I clearly am a weirdo to that scene. If they like what I have to do, maybe that will change them. Just like if I do want to say something about politics, instead of saying it direct, I'm a wizard, man. I know how to do it without them even noticing. I do a lot of tricks where I borrow coins and I talk about money and coins and what it means. And dude, what they don't realize is I'm basically, I'm working my magic and they don't even know it. That's how you do it. That's how you influence. Yeah, it's entertainment. That's right. My job is to get them to forget about their baloney for 5 minutes. That's it. And if they're looking at their watch or they're on their phone, I failed. That's how I look at it. Getting paid. Yeah, I like getting paid doing my art form. It feels good. Oh yeah, I wrote down here, the lazy ones make us all look bad. So when somebody books a magician or a sword swallower or a contortionist and they're terrible, they assume we all suck. That's it. We all suck. Well, if you book a singer and they suck, you go, God, that guy sucked. But they don't think all singers suck. Why? Because they have somebody to compare it to. They've all heard Celine Dion sing or Elvis or somebody that can really belt it out. When you see a magician suck, you assume they all suck. Right? So when I meet lazy performers or people that, when I hear performers being late or not doing follow-ups, or it makes me very angry because it makes us all look bad. I make all of my decisions at gigs based on how to make the crowd remember a great night and remember me as just the funmeister, That's it. Oh, by the way, I do magic, but first and foremost, for private parties, I'm a stranger in their scene. And that's why a lot of private entertainers get a very good insight on the world, because I'm in the nest of these people. When I'm doing an Orthodox Jewish event, it's just me, Mr. Goy, amongst all these religious Jewish guys, and we're all having fun. It's a great life, I gotta say. I get to really make people experience wonder. I'm not there to make them mad. I'm not there to challenge their ego. I want them to have a 2-second moment of, whoa, I don't know how that works, and I don't really need to know. I'm blown away. I got goosebumps. I had somebody on Thursday tell me, I forget what trick I did, something very simple, but they were like, my God, you gave me goosebumps. Wow, that's great. That makes me feel great. That means it worked, That's what I'm trying for. And a lot of the sideshow carnival worker people from the old days, they were very wise. They knew how to make money. They knew how to make people have fun. They knew how to make people forget about their day and see this world of the carnival, sideshow, circus as a glimpse into something that they don't quite know what's going on in the background. Like there's a mystery here and it's a wonderful thing, right? That's what my life has been. I've set it up in a way that I literally live in a cartoon world, and I'm hanging out with knife throwers and circus folk and surfers and bikers and tattoo artists and, everybody, the gambit. And it helps me create more wonder. Because I believe if you are a variety artist or a magician, you are a real life superhero. You are. So live it. Be it. For real. Don't pretend like you're one. Be it for real. Nobody wants to think the magician's not a real magician. They all want to know in their heart that that guy lives an extrovert lifestyle that's different than everybody else. And he creates wonder and mystery. That's it. So I wish a lot of performers would really think about that. What does that mean to be a real life superhero? And what does it mean to do a really good show? Take pride in your work on it a lot, practice the hard stuff, and you'll have no imitators. Jeff Sheridan told me that one. Make your act tight. I have a way of rehearsing. Everybody has a different way. But I do believe in flight time. When I meet an amateur young performer who's just getting started and they're disrespectful to somebody that's done thousands of shows, this is why I don't hang out with a lot of magicians. A lot of amateur magicians think they know a lot, and I don't think they know anything. They only perform magic for other magicians. They watch magicians, and they don't get out and do magic for the general public. You can't learn how to be a magician unless you go do card tricks for every type of person on the face of the earth. You'll start to realize what works, what doesn't work, timing, how to time it for different groups. I remember the first time I performed for deaf people. I was like, oh, my misdirection has to change. Or the first time I performed with a non-English speaking crowd. I had to go into pantomime mode. Or the first time I performed in a nightclub that hired me to do close-up magic, and it was dark and loud. You got to make it work, man. If you don't make it work, they ain't going to book you again. And if you're not going to get booked again, you're out. Every single magic show I do, I imagine, is so important because that one show will spawn off 5 more gigs or 10 more gigs. Or even if it spawns 1 gig, then that gig might spawn 4 or 5 more. So I take every job seriously. I take every kid's show seriously because I assume I'm the first magician they're ever going to see. I'm going to shape their view of what a magician is for the rest of their lives. That's how I view that job. And when I get booked for corporate crowds, I remember being told by other magicians, like, oh, if you do corporate, you gotta. Oh, someone's saying, you forgot George. All right, I'm going to get George out quickly. Hold on, stay here. Let me do, hold on, let me see here. George Gorlick, I don't know if George is going to be awake. George, hold on. No, he ain't waking up. Hold on. This might not be easy, folks. Let me see. George, wake up. What you doing? I'm getting you up, bro. Why? Because there's a crowd here, and I'm talking about doing nightclub shows. Oh, you are? Yeah. So you gonna talk? All right. All right, folks. I got him up. Are you kidding me? No. What are we going to do? We're going to do it right here, right now. Ladies and gentlemen, George Gorlick.
Where are they?
No. It's TV Land time. You remember this?
Oh, hey, how you doing? How are you?
I'm okay. So, George.
Yeah?
Do you remember how many nightclub shows we did?
Too many.
Yeah, we did. We did a lot.
Oh, the girls.
I know, we had a lot of pretty girls. Yeah, they were around all the time. Most of the shows George did were burlesque shows.
Oh, yeah.
Now, look, William's saying hi.
Who the heck is that?
William.
Who?
William. He's in TV. Like, actually, look at the chat over here.
Hey, how you doing?
Okay, so we did a lot of shows. And I don't know if you remember this. I don't know anything. I know. We did a show at Les Scandell. And
oh, I remember.
Oh, you remember?
Yeah, man.
Tell it.
I said something to a girl.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. You walked up to a girl.
I know what. Hey, honey, how you doing? Looking good. Oh my.
And you know what she did?
Yeah, she hit me.
She slapped him really. She literally went whack. And now, what's funny is, well, you know what's funny?
Yeah, she didn't hit you.
Yeah, she hit you.
Oh my.
So either I'm good or she ain't so bright.
I can tell you right now what the answer is.
I know. All right, George. My God, we've been on for an hour and a half.
Oh my.
And I gotta wrap this up eventually. So I'm gonna put you away.
What do you mean?
I'm gonna put you back in the box.
Oh yeah, I get to go to bed. Good night. Sweet dreams. I'll see you later.
All right, George.
All right, dude. Wake me up later.
Maybe I will. Wow. Go to bed.
All right.
Go to bed and we'll talk later.
All right, man.
So, that's my pal George.
That's right.
All right. George Gorlick and I did a lot of shows. Now, I have another little friend.
Don't talk about him.
Yeah, I won't. And I have another one that we do shows with it. All right, sorry, buddy. Yeah, I did a lot of nightclubs with him. And look, I'll show you. Oh, his picture's not on that one. I have a lot of posters, and one of them has his picture. I feel bad that I didn't prepare for this episode enough. I could have shown you pictures of all of these things. The problem is, it's too much stuff. There's too many shows now. I'm in the 3,000 range at this point. I didn't even mention all the restaurants I've done magic in. So, I mean, folks, if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the notify. If you got some extra cash, hey, people have extra cash. Not everybody these days. Donate. The donations go right in the show, folks. It literally goes right into the show. And, yeah, I had a great time tonight. There's so many stories that were coming into my head that I can't tell them all. I'll be here for 10 hours. Endless stories. One day I will compile them in book form. Shocking stories. One day I'll actually use all the names of all the people. I will. Why not? Might as well. And I'm very happy and grateful that I chose the path I did. Again, it might have made me go in different directions, but I'm going to be honest. I've gotten to perform for some of the coolest shows and clients and people and places all over planet Earth since, I mean, I count my career as actually starting in 95, because that's when I moved here, and it started pretty quick. And I got to play rock and roll music and do card tricks for all walks of life. Very grateful. If I would die tomorrow, I would be like, all right. I mean, so I think Fallon asked me. Thank you. Wow, that means a lot. Intellectual escapism. That's flattering. Thank you. I think you asked me what gig have I not done that I would love to do. Everybody and their grandmother saying, go on Penn and Teller's Fool Us. And I could. I got cast to be on their Wizard War show, and then it got canceled for season 2. So I'm sure I could get on there, but I just don't care. I mean, for what? What do I get? I don't know. I don't know what I would get out of that. I mean, it might be fun, but you don't get paid because it's a game show. So, the Magic Castle was weird with me. I could do a whole show on that. I literally had a lot of really famous people tell them to hire me, and they basically told me I sucked. Not like that, but it was weird. It was a very weird vibe. And I was like, okay. I just did last weekend more high-profile shows than half the people that perform at the Magic Castle. So, and I know Johnny Fox, they wouldn't book him until he was like old, like way, like 60. And he had been doing it his whole life, and they thought he sucked. And then finally they booked him because he's one of the best performers I ever knew. So, yeah, there's a lot of these gigs that I kind of used to want to do that I'm like, Yeah, you get to work with their show. Yeah, I mean, you should do on the Magic Castle. I don't want to do a show on the Magic Castle because I don't care about the Magic. I mean, I like the Magic. I've been there. It's fun, but it's I don't care. I'd much rather perform. I don't know. I mean, who would I like to perform for? I would like to perform for people I admire. You know, other performer like famous musicians. You know, I got to sit with many famous musicians that I admire and do full magic shows for them. So that's what I like. People that I admire and respect, I want to show them what I do and make them have wonder, you know? As for theater shows, I will show you. This is what I'm going to end with. I'm going to hang this poster right here. So if somebody asks me what my favorite show is that I do myself, it's this one. Right here. My spook show. It's called House of Ghostly Haunts. I've done a whole bunch of these all over the place. And this is my one-man show. This one was 2018. This is the last time I did it in its full entirety. So this show here is my baby. I've been doing my spook show for a very long time. It has a traditional blackout ending with full 3D puppets and the whole thing going on in pitch dark. It's magic, it's ventriloquism, escape, danger. I drink bleach, and I have my museum as intermission. It's a big show. It's an hour and 40-minute show with just me. I have a dream version of this that has a little bit of a bigger budget. And one day I will do it. That's my dream. That's my dream gig. And I would do it in a theater, you know, like some small theater somewhere. Small meaning 200, 250, something like that. That's something I would like to do. The next version of this with a little bit of a bigger budget. It's going to happen. And I'm working on stuff all the time. I'm working on stuff for the summer. And, the Magic Circle. Again, I know all about them. It's like the English version of the Magic Castle. They're all great. I don't care. A lot of the people in the magic scene will say, hey, man, all of these famous magicians are really good for us. You know, when magic's on TV and there's magic organizations, it's good for magic. I disagree. If there were no magicians on Earth and just me, I would do just fine. I'm being honest. Or just 5 of us or 10 of us. It doesn't need to be on TV all the time. I could care less. I think that's a weird analogy. Mantline says, I got a good graphic designer. Yes, I do. Well, okay, so 99% of everything you see, I designed myself and put together myself. And this poster, I did not. This is Death Ray Designs. DeathRayDesigns.net. And he's amazing. He's a good friend of mine. I basically scratch it out with my crappy drawing, and then he makes it beautiful. Yeah, he is a good designer. Okay. Magic Circle in Canada. Yeah, there's one in Canada. There's one in England. They're great. I mean, I'm a member of the International Brotherhood of Magicians. I just do it to get my insurance, but I don't go to magic meetings. I never did. Yeah, Sean Farquhar. I know him, of course. I know all these guys are. I just don't care. I don't care anymore. I don't watch a lot of magic. The more magic I watch, the less creative I feel I am. So I try not to watch a lot of magic. I get my inspiration for magic from other sources. Just how it is. I always thought when I first heard that the Cramps, they said, what are your musical influences? They were like, and they listed a bunch of things that weren't music. And I was like, that's how I am. My influences come from not what I'm doing. It's other things. And so I don't do it. So, wow. Can't believe I'm still talking. Folks, I'm tired. My voice is tired. I've had, I'm Order of Merlin IBM. I've got like almost 30 years of membership, maybe more. Yeah, I'm tired of talking. I've been talking all day, and this is my second live gig today. And I'm going to go celebrate my Friday night. So you know what? I'm trying to read these. There's a lot of chatting in here. I hope I didn't miss anything. Listen, I thank everybody who's in here tonight. I got Amanda, Donovan, William, Matt Lyon, a lot of people. If you're new in here, Voider Shark, Talon, Fallon, Eric, Pataki, everybody, please, thank you. Just keep coming back. I'm going to keep delivering the goods. I'll be back here, not on Monday, but you will see me advertise Bindlestiff Family Circus Monday. I'm on. Watch the circus. And then Wednesday, I'll be back here. You guys are cool. Thank you. My God, I'm tired. Whew. It's been a long week. And I'm going to go celebrate. Happy Friday. Thank you. Thank you, Dee. Thank you, Donovan. Everybody. You guys are awesome. Party on, Wayne.
Thank God I can do magic, everybody.